So this is a bit of a chance essentially for me just to test the technology. I've got a few talks coming up, as you probably saw, scheduled on the Facebook events and the YouTube, and I just want to test the technology. So I'm going to edit a picture live for about the next 10 or 15 minutes. So if you happen to be watching, hopefully the technology works, hopefully you can hear me, and hopefully everything is going to plan. So here we go. So this is a picture from the Faroes, like beautiful stormy atmospheric image. I really want to enhance the mood in this picture, like to bring more drama to the scene. So I'm going to start out by darkening the sky. Now I'm not going to use a sky mask when I darken the sky here. Normally I do use a sky mask in conjunction with a linear gradient, but because the mist is coming up over the mountain here, I think a sky mask will just make a mess of it. So I'm just going to use a linear gradient and pull that down like so, and darken the sky a little bit. And when I don't have a sky mask, I should say, to protect the top of the mountain after I've darkened it, I'll often open the shadows within the linear gradient and maybe just bring the blacks up just a little bit as well. And what we might do even is just get a radial and just throw it on top here and just lighten the whites should I say, ever so slightly there. I just don't want the tip of that going too dark. I'm going to get another linear gradient, and really what I'm trying to do is just build the eye to look into the most important, interesting part of the picture. And I'm going to darken that left side a little bit. Then I'm going to take another linear gradient and darken this corner. So I don't normally use the vignette slider. I'll normally just use a combination of linear gradients to be able to darken corners in the picture like this. I'm then going to go and try and create an overall dark look to the picture. So I'm going to pull my curve from this bottom left corner, and I'm going to just bring that down a little bit and flatten it. I'm then going to come back into the land with another linear gradient, or a radial should I say. I'm just trying to give a sense of directional shape in the picture for people to really be focused on this mound and the houses just sitting on that cliff top, because I think that's one of the most interesting parts of the picture. I'm going to take another radial and I'm going to just put it down the bottom here, because also this wild sea is definitely another interesting part of the picture. The edge of the cliffs there are kind of a little bit dark looking, so I'm just going to open the shadows in this radial as well and lift the blacks ever so slightly, and I'm going to add a little bit of clarity in there as well. I like the idea of maybe there being something warm to cool happening here, because the land has the warmer sort of tones in it, the greens, and then that grey day has that kind of cool tones in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a color range mask based on these greens here. And that's a little bit too wide. I don't want it to spill into the sea. There we go, something like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to warm them up like so. And then I'm going to duplicate and invert and select everything but those greens, and I'm going to cool it down. So that's created that bit of a warm to cool sort of feeling within the image. I just need to straighten it a wee bit, I think. Right there, it's hard to tell because the horizon line is kind of disappearing there with the very stormy day that's in it. And I'm just going to make it a little bit squarer, like so. And I feel like, again, I just want to really direct people's eyes into this part of the picture. So I'm going to go with a big radial across this whole area. I'm actually just going to lift the exposure in there a little bit. And I want to be careful not to burn out any of the lights, any of the light tones here in the water from where the waves are crashing in. So just careful with that exposure. And if I do go too far with it, and I've burnt out some tones in this area here, it's not the end of the world. I can just hit subtract with a brush and just brush into this area, which seems to be just a little bit too strong, the adjustment in that area basically. And to finish things off, I might just open up the shadows just a wee bit, pull down the highlights just a wee bit, lift the blacks a little bit, add some clarity, and add a little bit of color saturation, although I don't really like how that color saturation looks, I have to say, so I'm going to go back a step. And what I'm going to do is, rather than adding any additional color saturation to the entire picture, I'm just going to go and saturate some of the colors that are on the mound. So get a color range, come in here, get the greens there, and let's just add a little bit of color to those. If I can find the saturation slider, there we go. Something like that. And it's hard to tell, is the picture straight, just the way the horizon line has totally disappeared over here, so it's very difficult to ascertain is it straight or not, but I think that's looking pretty good now. We could play a little bit more with bringing up our blacks and then darkening this down a little bit more, and let's also, just having done that, lift the whites a little bit to bring a little bit more contrast. If we wanted a little bit more drama in the sky, we might actually just put on that, or let's go back to the original linear gradient actually. I think it's looking a little bit dark now, so I'm going to bring that up a small bit, and I'm actually going to apply clarity to that linear gradient just to give the sky a little bit more definition. And that's a very quick, simple edit. We could take a little look at the white balance. It might be a little bit green, small bit of magenta. I like the blue in it. I'm not gonna remove the blue. And if I just reset the picture for a second, you can see where we were and where we got to with some very quick local edits. So that was my test. I don't know, did that work? I don't know, did the sound work? Did the share screen work? Did any of it work? I'm hoping that it did. Steve Smith is watching. He said he likes the LB in the background. Thanks, Steve. I'm glad you noticed that. You're able to hear me okay, Steve? Is the sound and everything okay? The resolution of the picture, did it all come through okay if you're still watching? There's possibly a little bit of delay with the comments being repeated, so I'm going to watch it back myself. That was just a really quick test for me in preparation for the whole sort of series of talks that I'm going to give over the next couple of months live, and I've tried to just set up the studio a little bit better, got the proper webcam working, have a light over here on the side. I've got some software that allows me to kind of change screens and output a higher quality stream across multiple platforms on YouTube and Facebook. So yeah, that's what I'm up to with it, and hopefully this worked. Now I just need to figure out how to stop the live video. That'd be useful. I think I've got it. Good luck.